Hello everyone, and welcome to the Underworld Ascendant pre-alpha prototype for April 2016. So this is the third build, I believe, of Underworld Ascendant for backers of the project on Kickstarter. And what on earth is Underworld Ascendant? Well, Underworld Ascendant is the third game in the Ultima Underworld series of dungeon crawling RPGs. The first two were developed by Looking Glass Studios back in the early 90s, 1992 and 1993. The first two games were released. So this is the first game in the series in over 2 decades. And so obviously, yeah, a long time coming, this one. It's developed by Other Side Entertainment, which is a new company started up by ex-Looking Glass developers, including some very, very important people in the industry and in the sort of genre and mode of this game in general, including Paul Neurath, Warren Spector, etc., etc. And Other Side is developing Underworld Ascendant first and foremost, and then they are moving on to develop System Shock 3. So yeah, very, very big deal. And obviously this game has a lot to live up to, so let's go straight into this prototype and see what's what. Now this video, I really just wanted to generally give my impressions and my sort of reaction to this build, rather than kind of trying to show everything that's in it or whatever. New job, Outlander. The undead have overrun Seer Point. The Shambler hive mind wants to know what happened. Find out any way you can. Killing's optional and likely to vex the dwarves. Remember to stay alive, Aelita. Okay, so a little bit of context there for what we're doing and where we are in this world. For anyone who doesn't know the Ultima Underworld sort of lore or setting, it's basically a huge sprawling collection of places that exists underneath the world of Ultima. And I mean, the Underworld series is a spin-off of the Ultima open world RPG series, which itself is very, very influential. So this is basically a sandbox dungeon crawler. And I mean sandbox in the sense that things like Deus Ex, Dishonored, Thief are sandbox, not sandbox in the Grand Theft Auto Assassin's Creed sense. That's a modern sandbox. You can see a skeleton fella over there. He appears to have... No, he's not seen as yet. In fact, what I'm going to do is I'm going to engage this guy in combat and we can see how he moves about. Now just take a look at the sort of animations of this guy, the way he's engaging me. It's very sort of mechanical, very technical, as opposed to being fluid and quote-unquote realistic. Obviously this build is very early in development, and so this stuff is likely to change, but I have to say I really like it because it feels very much like the combat in the original games. Now bear in mind that obviously the original games are limited substantially by the technology of the day, and obviously things move very quickly in the games industry and in the computer sort of IT industry in general. Technology moves extremely quickly, as we all know, and so obviously things are likely to be very modernised in this build. But what I like about this is that it does manage to capture the authenticity of the original games without feeling like out of date or antiquated or needlessly throwback sort of retro feeling. And that is a very, very difficult thing. It's a very difficult balance to get in this kind of project. So even with this very, very early prototype, there is a lot of promise for the finished product. So let's move onwards here and see what we can see. Now, I need to obviously speak about the art direction in this game because it is very, very striking, and deliberately so. the reason why this is the first build to actually implement art assets is because Other Side Entertainment are kind of trying to show off the fact that they have Nate Wells on board as their art director. He's a recent addition to the team, and the game was always looking very good. They released a gameplay demonstration last year, and it was looking very, very nice, I have to say, and not hugely dissimilar to this. But Nate Wells, if you don't know who he is a very, very talented art director in the games industry, famous for being the art director of, amongst other things, BioShock Infinite, the original BioShock, and the Uncharted games. So a lot of really, really beautiful, striking and memorable projects in his belt. And so it's very, very exciting to have him on board with Underworld Ascendant. And I was concerned, actually, I have to admit, when I found out that he was going to be leading the art direction on this project, I was concerned that it was going to go in an Uncharted direction rather than, let's say, a BioShock Infinite direction. I'm very, very happy to have those concerns squished by playing this build. It looks absolutely fantastic, and if I break down this door... Now, the reason why I'm attacking these doors is because they are locked, and as you can see, we can't move them. But there are a number of ways of getting locked doors open in this game, and this is a nice throwback to the originals. You see, if I attack it with my sword enough times, it just breaks to matchwood. And that's something from the original Ultima Underworld, and one of the reasons why, when I played that game when I was a young kid, it felt like really special compared to other things at the time. It felt very ambitious, and it did things that other games just hadn't even thought of doing. Like, if you found a wooden door that was locked and you didn't have the key, you could just smash it down with your sword. And I thought that was such a nice touch as a kid. It made it feel like real in a way, made it feel immersive. And so it's nice that this stuff is being brought back in this game as well. And so as we walk into this huge cavern here, this is the sort of central area of this build, this demo, and you can see this huge statue in the distance. Absolutely beautiful looking. You can see the kind of the BioShock Infinite sort of expressive, colourful style there, but it's not overly cartoony, which I like. It's not too kind of Borderlands or Wind Waker. It's not too Cell. You can see that there is a black outline around the character's sword, but again, it's not too much. It's not too painterly. It's not too hand-drawn. You can see these columns, these carvings. It looks very, very nice, very, very expressive. And again, you can see the influence of 80s fantasy is very, very strong. The kind of blues and purples up here, the cold colours going down into the reds, and orange and yellow down below, this sort of warm glow coming off these lava flows. Very, very, very nice style. And what struck me walking into this chamber when I first played this a few days ago was that the colours coming off the lava, it looks exactly like the front cover of the original Ultima Underworld. And that is why I think this art direction is perfect for this project. Because I've seen a lot of people online sort of going, oh, we don't really like the new style, it doesn't look serious enough, it doesn't look menacing, it doesn't look scary, it needs to look scary and atmospheric. Well, you know, it looks... How atmospheric does that look? I mean, fucking hell, look at that. that looks like what was in the heads of Looking Glass Studios in 1991 when they were developing the original. But they couldn't get it into the game because of technological limitations. Now they have that technology available. They can make it look like this, and it looks fucking fantastic. This guy appeared... Oh, see you later, mate. That guy took himself out by walking into the lava. There are some weird kind of AI glitches, and the physics and the clipping is very unpolished, but that's, you know, it's just a proof of concept more than anything else. This is a lore tablet. If we pick this up, we can read a little bit about where we are and what's going on in the world. Supplies run low. Traders are weeks late. Their routes last stopped the Dwarven manufactory at Tharst. Scouts sent to inquire left days ago. None have returned. So there we go, a little bit of context about this place in the underworld. And some skeletons patrolling over there. And yeah, I mean, it's very rough. There are some things which just aren't even built in yet. For example, you can walk in this lava and you don't take any damage. You don't really have any HP or anything in the build. You pretty much can't be killed unless you fall into the big pit below, in which case you just respawn. But, you know, that isn't really the point. This is completely proved to me that these guys really know what they're doing in regards to bringing this series back, and bringing it back in a way which is relevant not only to the series itself but to the industry then and now. And so that is a very, very cool thing. That's the reason I wanted to do this video, you know, that I felt like it was time for me to say something about this as soon as I played this build, because it just looks so cool. Let's have another look at this lore here. Tremors continue despite our proximity to the Dwarven manufactory. Engineers warn of potential spillover. Of equal concern, disappearances along the outskirts increase daily. Intriguing. Yeah, so I think I've picked up a few runes, so I guess let's have a look at the runes. Now, if we open this menu here, this is the way that we cast magic spells in the game, and it's a very, very cool system. If you look at the bottom right, you see this table of runes, and just above where it says clear, you'll see there is a blank sort of space. What we can do is put a series of runes into that space and combine them to make a magic spell. So on the left hand set of runes we have contexts, like for example here, growth, destruction, restriction, movement, toughness, strength, etc. And then on the right hand side we have like accusators, or kind of like the type of spell itself. So we have earth, fire, air, water, etc. So what I mean is, if we combine two of these, let's for example take movement and air, put those together, and then when we cast the spell we create a gust of wind. So you see we have movement and air, and what we're doing is moving the air, and that's how we've knocked all these crates away, you see. And so that's really nice, and I like the way that you have to use your head in order to concoct something out of the tools that you're given, rather than the game just saying this is a gust of wind spell, Fuzzrodar or whatever. You have to think it up yourself. And so if we say destruction, let's say growth and fire, and then we have a fiery touch which we can use to set fire to this wooden crate, you see. We can also use that to burn down the locked doors that we were knocking down before. And so that is the way that it really feels sandbox. And it's the same in things like Dishonored, when you have a set of tools given to you, and you can use them however you want in the world, but it's really up to you, you know, to determine how you're going to use them and how you're going to find out the ways that they react with the world. That is the sort of the real spirit of Looking Glass and their games, and so it's very nice to see it back here in such a kind of pure form as these runes. 1 month ago this outpost was thriving. Now we lack space to store caskets. Many hide their valuables or pack to leave. Rumours of undead abound. Yeah, there are plenty of undead around here. That would be an explosive battle. So, let's try throwing this. Where was that guy? Somewhere around here is like the champion skeleton. Unless he's managed to walk into the lava as well. I saw him just a moment ago. Well, there's a guy over there. Let's try throwing it at him. No. Didn't detonate. But that guy's engaged. I just love the way these guys look. They really do look like Warhammer miniatures or something like that. The influence is a very, very good one. The way that they're kind of out of proportion. You know, if you imagined this guy with sort of muscles and skin as a real human, he wouldn't be the proportion of a human being. He would be kind of stunty and he would have huge hands and a huge head. That's the way that Warhammer miniatures kind of look, because they're so small, obviously being miniatures. They have very exaggerated hands and faces and elongated facial features and that kind of thing. And that is the kind of vibe that this game is going for, and it doesn't necessarily mean it's cartoony or it's too cute, because it does kind of look a bit freaky, but in the way that, you know, in a very deliberate way. And I love that about it, I really do. I think it's great. A collectible here. So I'm not sure what happened to that other guy. I think he may have fallen off the edge. Unless he's patrolling lower down. No, I think we're rid of him. That's a shame. It would have been nice to show that guy off. There, basically in the map there is one skeleton champion. So it would have been nice to show him off a bit more, but never mind. So let's say no. Let's try and get across this broken bridge. Now, this is a good excuse for me to show off the skill tree as well. See that you have a skill tree. Now, some of these skills are unlocked to us. So, for example, you see we have 3 trees: fighter, thief, and wizard. A lot of things going on here. But say, for example, we take double jump. That's a very simple one. It's pretty much exactly what you think it's going to be. So if we jump, then we can jump again. Simple as that. So let's go, for example, onto the top of these crates. And then jump to this thing. We get this guy swinging. And let's see if we can make it over this. Just about. Okay, there's a collectible here. I don't think there's anything else on the other side of this broken bridge other than that collectible, but it's just to sort of see. The point of it really is that to demonstrate that there are many sort of multiple ways of getting across this huge gap. You see, what I did there is just use the double jump skill and this sort of physics gravitational suspended platform here, but there are many other ways. You see, the crates that I used to jump off, you can pick those up and apply an anti-gravity spell to them, which means that they float in mid-air and you can literally just use them as stepping stones to jump across. And things like that what make this game really just like a real sort of playground and make it so fun to experiment. And I'm not going to make that. Nope. If I fall down here, I'll just respawn back at the start of the room. Yeah, there we go. Yeah. I mean, there isn't really much else for me to show here, but I'd show like the other spells and that kind of thing, but I'm not really too bothered about doing that. What I really wanted to do in this video is give my impressions of the project and of the art style and of this build, and I feel like I like all of those things quite a bit. So yeah, I'm very excited to see kind of what else we can do in future builds of this project, and if in the more that I sort of play this one. But I mean, really, it's just this kind of high fantasy style is what I wanted to show off. These beautiful particle effects, lovely saturated colours, very nice kind of... It's just so atmospheric. And so yeah, that's it really, guys. I just wanted to show this off. If you want to get in on this, you can back the game on the website underworldascendant.com. You can also pledge, I think it is $5, if memory serves. I think it's $5 over the initial pledge for a digital copy of the game to get prototype access. So that means the finished product plus prototype access is, I believe, either $20 or $25 in total. Again, that's just if I remember correctly, but that's, in my opinion, very worth it. The developers are being very transparent, they're good guys, they obviously care very deeply about the IP, about the project, about sort of serving the Ultima Underworld series well, because obviously it's so influential and so dear to a lot of people. It's important to get it right, and by letting people see this project, a project with so much promise and so much potential, letting people see it and kind of get a feel for it so early in the development is really cool, and it's really interesting to see a game like this so unpolished, and for them to let people in with feedback. And, you know, if you are one of those people who doesn't like this art style and feels like it doesn't capture the atmosphere of the original games, then I respect that, I do. And I'm sorry for you, genuinely. I wouldn't want anyone, any long-term fan of this series, to be disappointed by this project. That's the last thing I want, but this has really got me excited to play this game, and if any more kind of substantial updates come during the development, I will be doing some coverage, and when the final game appears, or if a beta version appears, I'll be doing a full series. So stay tuned for that, and there's more Looking Glass games coming from the channel as well. So yeah, thanks for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed this, or at least some of it. If you did, please press like, that does help me, and I'll be your friend if you do that. And I will see you on the channel for the next video. Take care, everyone. Goodbye.